Welcome back, America. What a busy day it has been, especially as we continue to monitor all that is taking place up on Capitol Hill. Well, just yesterday, Congressman Rich McCormick of Georgia led a bipartisan group of 104 House members to hold President Biden accountable for his delaying of munitions and weapons shipments to Israel. That's right. This letter to the White House even included some Democrats. Now, that is a big feat for how divided our politics in Capitol Hill are today. And lucky for us, we are joined by the congressman to discuss this and much more right now. Congressman, you have led the way on this battle, just like you have with many other battles. And I wanted to ask you, because you refer in this letter to the delay of the weapons and shipments as appeasing the Hamas wing of the Democrat Party. And I'm sure Joe Biden would disagree. But you, the other 103 signers of this letter, the American people, we haven't really gotten a good explanation. Do you expect that to come after this letter?
There is no good explanation. What they keep on trying to say is there are questions about if these weapons are used ethically in offensive operations. The problem with their argument is if you're going to hold up any sort of shipment based on questions, then of course you shouldn't be giving the Palestinians any aid either. If you look at how the United Nations has treated Israel throughout the years, all the sanctions and the questions and the resolutions against Israel, which combined are basically more than every other nation combined. That's insane. That you think that Israel is violating things more than Palestine, China, Russia, so you name it, Somalia, Syria, Sudan, all those combined are going to come up to less than what Israel's doing. If you're going to question everything they do, then we're never going to aid them in any way, shape, or form. The fact is that we have real concern about where the money is being spent in Palestine. I know there are people who are suffering, innocent people. We want to help them. But there are equally as many questions in that, yet there is no hesitation whatsoever in getting them their aid. This has to be done fair-handed across the board. We know Israel is a staunch ally of ours. They're one of the few democracies in that region. We have to do this the right way.
Yeah. So you served in the battlefield. You know how important clarity of instruction, clarity of chain of command is. Joe Biden has given so many different answers about whether he's with Israel or not. The actions often conflict with the words. If you're Israel, if you're Benjamin Netanyahu, if you're the Israeli Defense Forces, is it frustrating right now to think that America's all over the map when it comes to messaging?
We don't have a clear foreign policy at all. As a matter of fact, I would make the case that Joe Biden is the worst president we've ever had on foreign policy. Whether it be the way he deals with Russia or China or Taiwan, or especially in Ukraine, and everything he does, the way he withdrew from Afghanistan, absolutely heartbreaking for guys like myself who served over there, who watched what the Afghanis went through as a result, watched the Americans left behind, watch our allied people that actually served with us in the field get left behind. A total travesty. He is a disaster when it comes to foreign policy and inconsistent statements.
Yeah.
Congressman, we consistently see these protests springing up all over this country, disrupting traffic, disrupting classes, disrupting graduations. I mean, it is just a general disruption across American life, and they continue to scream, ceasefire, ceasefire. Wasn't there a ceasefire on October 6th?
There sure was. As a matter of fact, all the settlements, a lot of people forget that Israel had no settlements in Gaza when this went down, that they're a relative peace, that Hamas brought this on them on purpose to create this dilemma, and they continue to use human shields to create additional dilemmas. This is absolutely created by violent people with guns who have subjugated their own population to immense horrors of war because they wanted to prove a point. Quite frankly, Taiwan's not recognized as a nation, and yet they're very wealthy. Why? Because they continue on with business. All you have to do is sell a product, get down to business, be not a corrupt government, but actually a government that helps the people accomplish a feat, which is business. Famously, Coolidge used to talk about America saying the business of America is business. Get out there, sell a product, do something that's good for the population, not just go to war with Israel when there is no war to be had. You don't have to be recognized by Israel or anybody else in order to be prosperous. Look at Taiwan. They need to get down to business and stop just creating hate, discontent, havoc, and on purpose creating a world catastrophe of foreign policy.
Yeah, so important. So you mentioned your time in Afghanistan. You know that country and that battlefront well. Today, the Institute of Peace, U.S. Institute of Peace, funded by Congress or created by Congress, warned that terror groups in Afghanistan are gaining strength as they are in Pakistan since the U.S. withdrawal in 2021, and specifically that the Taliban, who we're giving money to right now, that they are giving material support to terrorist groups. When an institution like the Institute of Peace comes out with that stark a warning, what does it say to Congress?
Well, think about this. Before we left, we had less people in Afghanistan, around 1,500 people, than we have in Spain. We've never even fought a war in Spain. We had relative peace. The women weren't in subjugate slavery. You had education and business actually starting to rebound. Now what do we have? After 20 years and $2 trillion of investment, 2,462 lives spent, countless traumatic brain injuries and limbs lost, countless years away from our family, we gave it back to the same evil people to do the same evil things. You have almost 30 evil bases creating havoc and training people to do harm to Americans and other people across the globe. And that's what we did. We pulled out and we weren't losing anybody. In the last decade, we lost fewer people than we lost on that one day due to Afghanistan withdrawal debacle that Biden created with his horrible policies.
Yeah, great point.
Sir, unfortunately, we can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. There are these conflicts that have resulted from a weak foreign policy stance on the part of this administration. So we have to think about military readiness and effectiveness. We have seen DEI seep into every sector of human society. It has even seeped into military recruitment. I would imagine that detrimentally affects our readiness, but you, having served over 20 years in the Marines and the Navy, what are your thoughts?
So I'm a Marine first. That's the way I think. 16 years in the Marines. I was based in the Marine Corps back in the early 90s. I love the Marine Corps. And the reason that the Marine Corps does better on recruiting than anybody else, because we look at it from a warrior's ethos. The way we advertise, we're trying to draw people back in that have a family lineage of being warriors, of fighting for something that means something, being patriots. If you want to recruit, go after those people. When I was talking to the Sergeant Major of the Army a little over a year ago, I bet him 100 push-ups that they would not make the recruiting goals because they're going after this the wrong way. They're going after the DEI way. And he said, oh, you have to realize, sir, that things have changed. And these Marines that are coming back from 8th and I, they're getting pulled over and they have to wear their uniform because they're scared of what's happening. I said, well, is that a military problem or is that a societal problem? And quite frankly, if you want to recruit the right people for the military, if you want to accomplish a mission, get the heck away from all this politically correct BS and get back to the warrior ethos that attracts people to what they want to do, which is serve at the highest levels, to be good at what they do, to destroy enemies. As we say in the Marine Corps, to locate, close with, and destroy the enemy through fire or maneuver, or to repel the enemy's assault through fire and close combat. That is our mission. It's pretty clear and simple. We got to be good at that. Attract the warriors, get rid of the DEI BS, and we'll be just fine.
Did the Sergeant Major ever pay up?
He did not. Let's call him out.
I think we're going to film that one live. We're going to go get him and have him pay up on live television. Sir, I want to turn to Iran because you and I have had some great conversations privately. I know you worry so much about the dangers of appeasement, which is at the heart of the Biden policy. All this money that's flowed to Iran, it seems like it has destabilized numerous parts of the world. There are assassination threats. There are the Houthis, the attacks on ships. Is there any sign that Biden is pulling back from appeasement, or are they doubling down on trying to make friends with Iran when there's no evidence it's working?
Everything he's done. Once again, this is his foreign policy. If you look at the $7 billion he released, the fact that we're not undercutting their energy production, the fact that we're not fighting back on cyber, the fact that we have had no policies of increasing sanctions as they've supported our enemies, literally to corrupt the shipping lanes, to support Houthis and Hamas. It's unbelievable that we're not making them pay for this. They are the world propagators of terror all over the world. They're sending weapons, encouraging them to be used. These drones, whether it be in Ukraine or in Israel or other places, these guys are bad people. And quite frankly, I would put all options on the board. I wouldn't put past them to put an EMP in areas where they actually produce these places. We should be threatening them because they're literally leading to Americans dying and to shipping lanes being closed, to our allies being destroyed. Those are all horrible things, and Iran should be put on notice.
Yeah, for sure.
Congressman, I want to shift gears to Ukraine. Russia is reportedly making gains in Ukraine, and for a long time we've been asking the question of what a victory there looks like. But I would imagine that while Secretary Blinken is on the ground there talking to Zelensky, I'm sure reassuring him of our support, but I would imagine that Zelensky also has his eye on the clock and on the calendar. Do you think that Zelensky is concerned that come November or January that honeypot's going to drain?
Well, remember that NATO is definitely behind Ukraine. We are the majority leader in NATO. We made a commitment to these guys. I know there's a lot of consternation and division inside the Republican Party over this, but we as Americans have made a commitment to them, not once, but 3 times, that we would help them out. They gave up their nuclear arms a long time ago. They're a top 5 country in resources. The fact that Biden has slow-rolled his support, quite frankly, is alarming. They could say, oh, the Republicans didn't vote on this. Well, if you would have given us a bill with H.R. 2, which the Americans also want, and not just some weak border security bill that allows another 5.5 million people across the border when you've already left 11 million across the border, we would have passed this a whole long time ago, and Americans would be happy and we'd be on with this. Quite frankly, if you're going to win a war, realize that we haven't won a war without surge ops when we are the biggest, baddest boys on the planet. You can't expect Ukraine, a third world country, to go against a first world army without the arms that they need.
Sir,
not just from us, but from
Congressman,
the rest of
I'm so sorry. We've got to stop it there. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for your service to our country. We'll be right back.